What makes a good final boss? Is it their overwhelming difficulty, their powerful moves that hit like a truck, or their enormous HP bars that is somehow bigger than today's economy? What makes a good final boss is how they are presented, and the narrative of a game can make or break the epicness of a final boss. And Ryu Ga Gotoku Studio gave us one of the best final bosses. Shishido is better than you think, and here's why. Before that though, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you think Shishido's dynamic intro is awesome. Join Otaku to find for more Like a Dragon content. One reason why Shishido is better than you think is his devastating strength. In fact, Shishido is one of the strongest final bosses. We even saw how Shishido powered through Majima's attack and even held Saejima in a standstill. We could argue that both Majima and Saejima were tired from fighting the Omi Alliance and Ichiban's party the day prior. But Shishido was fighting them in an even more dire state as he came back after surviving a huge fall after throwing hands against Kiryu. It also doesn't mean that Majima nor Saejima were holding back, especially when Saejima uttered the words "Naruhodo na," meaning he understood why Majima was having a difficult time holding his own against Shishido. And even during the final boss fight, Shishido showcased a lot of his strength, one of which is when Shishido threw Kiryu across a room and sent him flying. Like a Dragon Gaiden presented Shishido as one of the strongest opponents that Kiryu has ever faced by properly giving him respectable feats. We can argue about who is the strongest among Mine, Ryuji, and Shishido, but Shishido's feats are not to be disrespected with a simple Kiryu was not in his prime, as he proved himself more than worthy as a final boss. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Shishido is stronger than Mine? But what exactly makes Shishido so strong? Given that we already fought Shishido 2 times before the final fight, and Kiryu clearly dominated in those 2 rounds. It might seem Shishido's strength came out of nowhere, but that isn't simply the case. Shishido's beliefs are what made him powerful. Shishido is convinced that the strong are made to rule, and that power has been his ultimate goal. His ideals stem from being born as a nobody who had to fight his way to the top, all the while suffering from abuse. As a result, Shishido solely learned the life of a Yakuza, whose fate is always hanging in a life or death situation, which is also reflected in Shishido's fighting style, as he often wields a lethal weapon. He's a complete contrast to Kiryu, who has time and time again tried escaping the fate of a Yakuza and has created a life outside of organized crime. That's why fighting Shishido feels intense, as we are opposing someone who is ready to do anything to protect what he believes as his everything. Shishido stands against Kiryu as the last bastion to the Yakuza's way of life, the life that Shishido has lived, stood for, and dreamt of. And this whole philosophical conflict created the best team in a boss fight. And I'm not talking about Shishido's OST aptly named Deadly Struggle. Shishido's boss fight told a story that reflected his ideals. Shishido entered the Omi Alliance headquarters to stand as its last guardian, and as the fight went on, it destroyed a lot of things. Kiryu broke Shishido's weapon, symbolizing that the Dragon of Dojima has defeated Shishido's deadly style. Breaking the Omi Alliance crest represented the Yakuza dissolution that Shishido opposed. Then the fight ended by kicking Shishido out of the Omi Alliance headquarters. And I love how Shishido fell on his stomach, as the last thing we saw from the fight is his Irezumi, which defines Shishido to a T. Shishido's Irezumi is depicted as a lion with peonies. Digging deeper, his Irezumi is that of a Karajishi Botan. Karajishi, which means lion dog, is often seen as a guardian, which Shishido was for the Yakuza way of life. Karajishi is seen as the king of beasts, and it symbolizes strength, while the Botan or peony is known to be the king of flowers, and it represents beauty. The Karajishi Botan has a folklore where it tells that the Karajishi often have parasites that kills them, called Shishi Shincho no Mushi, which translates to traitors. And the only way to remove them is by sleeping under the peonies so that the morning dew can kill the parasite. RGG Studio chose the most fitting Irezumi for Shishido as it represented his strength, his opposition against the dissolution, and the whole storytelling of the boss fight where Shishido tries to eliminate the traitor of the Yakuza world. Shishido is better than you think since RGG Studio clearly has future plans for this guy. Shishido is the first final boss where the narrative made sure to say that this won't be the last time we'll see Shishido as he gets abducted by Yoshimura of the Daidoji faction. What it all means is still in speculation. Maybe we'll play as Shishido in the future spin-off, or maybe he will be a major character for a future like a Dragon game, or we might also see him in a future Judgment game, since this whole Daidoji faction is an excellent plot device for a detective story. So maybe we'll fight Shishido again as Yagami. But what do you think? Do you want to see more of Shishido? In essence, Shishido is more than the final boss. In Shishido's eyes, Kiryu and the other legendary Yakuza are what stands before his goal to protect his way of life and achieve his dream of being on top of the Yakuza world. Like a Dragon Gaiden created one of the best villains for a Yakuza game. And it seems that RGG Studios has been cooking given how the ending for Lad Gaiden is one of the best endings in video games. If you're curious why, then check this video out. Like and subscribe to Otaku Defined for more Yakuza content. This is Math, and stay awesome, my dudes.